Well, excited to be back home. You know, uh, somehow our schedule's been that way the last couple of years, but now we have 5 of the next 7 at home. So really, we're excited about that, especially for a night game. I think we have 2 in a row coming up. So Tennessee, really good team, top of the nation in a lot of categories, both offensively and defensively. I think defensively, very, very, very stout up front. Have a really good secondary linebackers. I think kind of a common theme over the last couple of weeks that their defensive line is probably the strength of their defense, as well as what A&M's was, what Auburn's was. So that'll be a big challenge for us. Offensively, they do so much. Of course, we have to get ready for as fast as they go, which we have some ideas for that, and we're going to use that today in practice. But it starts with their quarterback, very good skill-wise. I really like Dylan Sampson, their running back. I mean, they play more than one. They got Bishop in there too, but I really like him. He breaks a lot of tackles. Tight ends are good. Offensive line can do it all, pass, run. I have to obviously talk about Cooper Mays. Cooper Mays, I love Cooper Mays, and he's done such a nice job. I love his brother, his family. They're really good people. But Cooper's playing exceptionally well this year, and he's healthy, and looking forward to seeing him as well. But really well-rounded team. Have Squirrel's a great punt returner. Cameron is a good kickoff returner, and then they've got a kicker that can kick with either leg, rugby. Just a really good football team. But we're excited to play number 4 team in the country, and they may be higher than that. They're the best team that we will have played thus far. So we're excited about it. Excited to be home and in front of our crowd.
Coach, you mentioned they're ranked number 4 in the country. They're coming off of a bye week also, so a little extra rest, a little extra preparation for them. You said, I believe, that you talked to the trainers more Saturday than you had in any game. How big a concern is that, with maybe being a little beaten up versus a team that's had a little bit of rest also, in addition to being top 4?
Yeah, it is a concern. We're going to have to do a good job with some of our key players mentally, because we're not probably going to have them for at least a couple of days, and maybe get them back on Wednesday, hopefully. But that it is a big concern, and most of our injuries are offensively, which the ones that we're most concerned about are offensively, and the big physical D lines, I think, have taken a toll on our tight end position. Especially, that's the one that I'm right now most concerned about. But yeah, I think it gives a advantage. We're undefeated on coming off our bye game, our bye weeks. And a lot of that is because we get our players back. I remember last time we played Tennessee here, they were coming off a bye week. And they started out like gangbusters on us, and then we were able to come back in the second half. But this is a totally different team than what came in here now going on 5 years ago. But yeah, that's a big concern. We're going to try to take a little bit off of them today. Not the mental part of it, not the speed part of it as far as how fast Tennessee goes, but we've got to, for us to compete like we need to and how we want to, we're going to have to be smart this week.
You've gone back and looked at the video of Texas A&M, and very talented team up front.
Yeah.
But also some missed assignments, some issues. Have you identified what some of the main problems were? Like, particularly, we were watching the video of the fumble at the 10-yard line, like what happened exactly on that play and on some others.
Well, there's either let's go with the fumble first. There's two ways you can play it. You can charge it, or you can stand on the line of scrimmage and read the mesh, and they had uh, two different ways to play it. I think uh, we should have just gave the ball, and they had us on that particular one. Part of it was a little bit of a snap problem too, so it slowed down the timing of it. But we probably should have just gave the ball and took our lumps on that one, uh, because I believe they were mesh charging Taylor, and fumbled football, and obviously bad timing, bad place, all of it. That if we just hold on to football, we'd be a really good football team with all the problems that we've got to correct. The second one, I think we've had so many pressures that we got a lot of problems. We got a confidence problem. We have a quarterback that's not confident. There's times when he can stand in the pocket that there is one there. There's times when he stays in the pocket and he gets hit. So probably in between, and we tried a lot of quick passing game as well. But I think between that, moving the pocket and running the football, the problem with that was early in the game, we lost a running back early in the game. 22 was in and out of the game. R-Dub was suspended, which he's not anymore, by the way, but he was suspended. So it takes a little bit of our tight ends. Both of them didn't practice a whole lot last week, so it takes a little bit of the running thought out of it. But I think to take pressure off of the offensive line and our quarterback, we have to run the ball a little bit more, quick game, get the ball out of his hands so we can build some trust between him and the offensive line. And he's got to get better. The offensive line's got to get better. I think Tesla was a big shot in the arm for us. I think he came in and made some plays, and I believe that gives Taylor another option to go to. So there's a lot of reasons behind that. If I was going to put it in a nutshell, I'd say we got to protect the front of the pocket better. I didn't think our tackles I thought they played better than they played the week before. But there's no place for him. A lot of times there's no place for him to step up. And so the pocket's getting collapsed on him, which makes you look worse at tackle. Even the last one, that we fumbled the football on. I mean, Carmona had him 11 yards deep. You can't ask a guy to do more than that. He flushed because the front of the pocket was coming at him, and the guy got the strip fumble. But I thought our tackles were better. We've got to continue to get better, but I think the front of the pocket is something that we're certainly going to address this week as well.
Different type of issues between the offensive line this year and last year, but is there anything you can take from
what you're going to have to explain what you're talking about?
Well, just last year you had trouble in the ground game. This year, it's more pass protection. Just is there anything you can take and maybe apply from last year and go about correcting for this year?
Well, we're trying. We're trying to fix it, and we don't. I don't believe personnel change right now is going to help us. I think the only way that we can get better is maybe take a little bit of the pressure off, like I said, and run the ball a little bit more, and hopefully stay out of those third down situations and move the ball a little bit more on the ground.
This kind of funnels into what you've just been talking about, but beating blitz pressure, getting the ball out faster, does that come into play? I mean, what are the principles that you have to use to beat when they're sending more than you can block?
Yeah, we went to a lot of crossing routes. We did. I think our screen game, in the second half, we threw a screen out there. when people are zeroing you, which we've had, which means that you have to be good with six, and then the seventh one, the quarterback's got to have. You have to get the ball out of your hands, and that means either quick slants, rolling the pocket, rolling away from the seventh guy, rolling away from the sixth guy if you're empty, and the screen game. Or maybe you try to bust a draw through there, something, because there's nobody in the middle of the field. So you're trying to get your receivers to the middle field and get the ball out of your hand as fast as you can. The wide receivers have to understand that as well. They have to understand that, hey, look, there's nobody in the middle of the field. They're running total. We have to get to the middle of the field. And so all that stuff has to get better for us. But to answer your question, yes.
You mentioned that the tight ends are maybe the biggest concern. What about the DBs with Clark? So he dressed out the other night, and Braxton, what's their availability?
Well, I don't feel great about Braxton, but I feel pretty good about Clark. You know, he practiced last week. He was more of a, I believe he could have played if we really needed him to. You know, Stewart went down. He was sick, but I didn't feel real confident with Clark. Not that he couldn't play. I didn't feel confident. I thought he was doing it more for the team than what his body physically could handle. And so we elected not to play him at that point. But I think we just got to get his confidence that he can hit somebody. And I think he's closer, obviously a lot closer than he was last week.
Coach, did you notice something change in the defense there in the last maybe 2 or 3 drives by A&M? Because they'd been so stout for you for 2-3 quarters there, and then it seemed like suddenly they couldn't get that stop you needed at the end.
I mean, not really. I mean, they threw a 12-yard. We got them down to the 6-inch line. They threw a 12-yard out or roll pass out. The next play we broke, and they got a 35-yard run on us. The problem is at the end of the run, we just got to knock him out of bounds. We give the 15-yard, so it's a 50-yard play. Well, that changed. What we were trying to do was change field position. Well, they just did too. It came at the most inopportune time. We got stuck a little bit on personnel on a drive, and then probably the most disappointing thing was we had an opportunity to get the ball back, and they ran right up the middle for 8, and then they converted a first down, and we didn't have it really. We didn't have a chance to get the. We probably had a chance to get the ball with 45, 50 seconds left there at the end, and we didn't. So we played a good game, but we allowed the same thing that hurt us a little bit against Auburn. Big plays. We've got to eliminate those for us right now, for us to win. And they played an excellent game, but we've got to be a little bit better on those big plays.
Talon has been so good, you know, either running, whether it's by design or escaping the pocket. What did Texas A&M do maybe to limit his ground game last week?
Oh, they just, you know, they were messing with him. You know, they were running at him, running at the mesh, and they were sitting there and reading the mesh, you know, first play of the game. And then the same play comes along and he gets around that later in the game. The looks, I think, were a little bit difficult for him, but he got a lot on his plate. I think he'll be fine. I know he'll be fine. But that's what they were doing. They were continuing to mix up the looks for him, and I think, and the other thing is our snap. When we go into the left snapping, we're snapping it to the right, and I think that has a lot to do with our timing of our run game. And when he's reaching back here and reading over here, I believe it becomes difficult, and we've got to help him get the snap down the middle where it's supposed to be, so he can have a little bit more time to make those decisions.
Braylon had 9 carries. I know Jaquindon missed some time, but
Yeah.
you know, is he a guy that maybe is going to get some more action here? And what has he done to kind of build up that trust where you're comfortable playing him?
Yeah, we've been comfortable playing him. It's just, we had those other backs early that we felt like could make yards for us. And so we've always had trust in him, and he'll continue to get more and more reps as the season goes. I think he's a really good back. He runs extremely hard. So most of him not playing early was his ability to identify and pass pro, and he's gotten a lot better with that too.
Sam, I don't doubt it's gonna be a great atmosphere Saturday night, but Tennessee, they went to Norman and really took care of business there. They went to Charlotte, neutral site, and really, hammered
Yeah.
NC State. How impressive is what they've done on the road in these night games, and what do you think's been the key to their success in those games away from home?
Well, that was a hard fought game at Norman, OU scored late, I think, to make it look a little bit better than what the game was. I think if you look at that game, they got up and coach tried to run the football, trying to take the clock away. But I think it says that they've been in that atmosphere before, and they've got a really good team. Physical. What you see this year a little bit, Bob, is their defense is so much better than what I've seen. They're really good defensively, and but I think they handled it real well. Oklahoma's really, really loud at night, and they handled it real well. I imagine they had more than half of the fans when they went over and played in the neutral site, NC State, but says they got a good program. I understand mature guys. They got a lot of older guys on their offensive line. And usually that's where it affects you more than anything. It's up front on the O line. They got a lot of maturity up there, starting with Cooper.
And Nico, I'm not gonna try to say his last name, their quarterback, Imai Paliai.
I think it's Iamala Leala.
Yeah, that's that you're better at than I'm. What's your take on him as a young guy? He's putting up great
Really
numbers.
good, really good, mature. It's just like Marcel Reed. Reed did what he needed to do. He didn't turn the football over. I'm not comparing them. I'm saying Nico is that he does what he needs to do. He got a lot of opportunities to shine in his offense. He doesn't make mistakes, and then he does it at a high level. He's scary because he's not going to make mistakes, and he's going to run the offense to a perfection. And for a young guy like that, he just really impressive.
Sam, you mentioned R-Dub no longer being suspended. How much of a factor in the run game could he be? Because I know he was behind some guys, earlier in the season as well. Does he still have to climb up the depth chart?
Yeah, we know that he's a good player. From a year ago, he's been hurt most of this year. He's healthy now. All he's got to do is have a good week of practice, and we'll certainly. One thing you have a suspension, you have this. You do whatever the responsibility is, and then after that, it's we wouldn't let guys back on the team or anything if we had a grudge or we had anything like that. It's what we felt like we need to do, and so if he's ready to go and he's practicing well, we're going to use him.
You mentioned the tight end health. I guess has still dealing with the back, and I think Washington may have gotten dinged up.
Yeah, he
Is
did.
there a chance with Poshka this week?
Man, I don't know. I don't know. I'll know more. Very doubtful right now, but we'll know more Wednesday, Thursday. But very doubtful right now.
And how much? I mean, everyone focuses on the offensive line, but how much do the tight ends impact the run game? Like not having those guys healthy and at full strength. How much did that impact Saturday?
Well, they have, they're one of the point of contact blockers, and so when they play well, we do pretty good, and when they don't, they're as important as the center, because they're either cutting the edge, back offside, or they're leading the way, and so very, very important, and they've gotten better and doing a good job. It's just certainly when you don't practice, it takes a toll some of the looks that you're seeing, some you don't because you weren't out there. You can watch it, but you can't do it, and there's a big difference between the two.
Is it fair to ask Green to make the right decision when he's under duress over and over and over again like that? I mean, is that a reasonable expectation?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's not fair to ask him to be perfect, but I think so. And he's working at it. I think he'll get a lot better with it. There's a lot out there on his plate, but I think if you ask him the same question, he'd say yes, you know. He's certainly working at it. Bobby's working with him on it. I'm not really concerned about him getting better at it. I think he'll get better at it and have a good week.
You guys talk about starters, not standards and stuff, but usually a starter is going to play more. Is it, and you talked about Tesla a little bit, is it time to put him back in the starting lineup like he was last year?
I think the whole thing about that would be we've got to use him more. And so whether he runs out there as a starter or not, I mean, I think he's earned the right to get out on the field and throw the ball to him. Whether he starts or not, I think we'll have to wait and see at the end of the week, but he certainly has earned that right if he has a good week of practice.
Twofold question. You've coached at Tennessee, so you kind of know the history and everything. When they're good, they can be very good. And then Josh Heupel, the times you cross paths with him, what you know of him.
Really good dude. I really like him. The guy won the Heisman, and I don't know what I was expecting. I don't know, but he's a very humble, very good guy. I mean, I like him. I like what he does on his team. They're well coached. They're disciplined. They play extremely hard. But I really like the man, and I don't know him much more than the SEC head coaches meetings, but I have high respect. I mean this. I have high respect for the guy because he's really done a great job there, and a lot of guys had went in there and didn't before he got there, and I think he's done a wonderful job. And kids they know how to play the game. They know how to play it the right way.
And then on Tennessee, just the historic nature of how.
Yeah, I remember when I went for an interview and the GA took me over to the stadium, and I'd never been there before. And in between time I was interviewing, and I think the head coach was talking to AD about if he could hire me, how much he's going to pay me and all that. And I walked in the stadium, and I told the GA, I said, take me back. He said, why? And I said, hell, they ain't gonna hire me to coach in a stadium like this. It was unbelievable. It was like the Coliseum, you know. I said, I'm not getting a job. Take me back. And he started laughing. And when I got back, I had a contract and a job. But it's one of those places, you know. It's a SEC school, but it's one of those places that has a lot of history and really great place to live. Good opportunity at the time to obviously get an SEC as well for me.
And then you went back in 15, and I mean, you guys actually won 3 in a row in the series.
Yeah.
Just maybe, I don't know if that has any bearing on this, but you don't play them that often.
You know, when we went down there a few years back, they returned open. They returned to open a kickoff for a touchdown. We were down fast down there, and then offensive line and running backs, and they kind of took the game over back then. We run a lot of pin and pulls, and end up kicking a field goal right before half, and we missed the swiper. I'll never forget that. He came right through there, and he should have blocked it, and he didn't. And then when I got the job here, one of my former old linemen over at Tennessee, you know, I was talking about when I was an O-line coach, I said, hey, I'm going to Arkansas. I think I came from Arkansas. here, or from Tennessee here, right? Yeah. And I said, hey, I'm going to Arkansas. He said, hey, there ain't nothing to do. I'll never forget. He said, there's nothing to do in Arkansas. We played there. I said, yeah, it was 44-10, bro. I said, there might not have been much to do, but them hogs were whipping your butt, and we were laughing about it. But I do remember those stories. Tennessee was a short time for me. I think it was about maybe 11 months or something, but I'm awful happy Derek Dooley hired me and gave me that opportunity.
Their quarterback Nico, but the running back Dylan Sampson, he's been
bad. He's bad to the bone. He's a good player. I mean, he's really good. Can make you miss, can run over you. I mean, he's a good player, can catch. I like him a lot. He's a really good player. And then they use the other one, Bishop, too. But he's really good. He's a really good player.
And then with Addison Nichols, you talked about, being able to snap the ball better. Is that something like how do you fix that in practice?
You just have to practice it a lot. And his main problem is when he's going left and the ball's kicking right on him. And so you just have to, but you can't. I mean, a rep's not a rep if it's not full speed. So you can't be down there in pre-practice. He's got to go full speed to his left, full speed reaching to the left, full speed back blocking to the left. And that ball's kicking to the right on him. And so we've obviously been working on it. And it doesn't happen every time, but when it does, he's going to his left, and we've got to get that fixed.
So you mentioned Addison. He's obviously a former Tennessee player, so is Danico. What would you say about each one of those guys separately, about what kind of season they've had for you so far and what kind of kids they are for your team?
Well, anytime, Trey had mentioned something about starting and all this, and so I'm going to contradict myself a little bit, but anytime you got a guy that's starting, he's the best you got. That is your best. You feel like that's the best you have. Especially if you're not in a rotation, you know what I mean? So with Nichols coming in here and starting for us has been really good for us. And then with Nico, he's played really, really good ball for us. And so those two guys coming from Tennessee have helped our program. Glad they're here.
Do you think there's a little extra now juice, whatever you want to use it for them playing their old team?
I think there's something to some of that. I also think that lasts about 4 or 5 plays, and then you get hit in the head, and you get somebody cuts you, somebody knocks hell out of you, and then at that point it's about preparation and what you're made of in the heart and how hard you want to go. So I do think there's something. I think that has to do with preparation. I think whenever you're wanting to do something so bad, I don't know that feeling that you have right before the game is going to help you play a lot better, but I do know that feeling helps you prepare, which then you'll play better. So I would assume they'd have that this week.
I think I got this stat right out of Tennessee's notes. They've outscored their opponents 78-3.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah.
What have you seen? And just, I guess, you obviously want to get off to a good start against these guys before they could bury you,
Yeah. Well, I appreciate the confidence, but
anybody.
Oh,
I'm talking about
okay.
if you're playing them, that could be the Green Bay Packers.
I got you. Old guys use the Green Bay Packers. I talk about them all the time too. I don't think they're as good as they used to be, Bob. But I'm not calling you old.
I'll just take the 14 world champion.
But I don't even know what your question was now. What was it?
It's the fact they've outscored opponents 78-3. How concerned?
Well, the thing about them now is if they get going on you now, they're hard to stop. They're hard to stop because they go so fast, and then your corrections can't sub. So your corrections are made on the sidelines. So obviously they were well to start like that. They're well prepared on both sides of the ball. We have to match that to have success on Saturday, which we plan on having.
Is there a sense of relief at all, Coach? You made it through the first 5 weeks of the season, 5 different stadiums and 5 games. Just that you get to be home now for the better part of the rest of the year. How does that feel?
I want to play a night game in our stadium, so Excited about that. Excited about Tennessee coming. I mean, the fans should be excited about it. You know, top 4 team in the country, and the thing with the road is, you know, you get on the bus, you go to XNA, you go through the deal, you get on the plane, you fly out, you get on a bus, you go to the hotel, you get on a bus after the game, you might bus an hour to get to the plane, then you wait, then you get on the plane, then you wait, then they close it, then you fly in, then you get to XNA, and then you wait, and they put the bags on, and then you come home. Well, when you do it 4 out of 5 times, and now we didn't because we bust, which then you go, okay, then we come back 3 hours. It gets old. And everybody has home games and everybody has away games. It's just when we were on the bus or on the plane coming back, I was going, man, I'll be glad to, you know, not do this for the 6th, time out of, or 5th time out of 6 weeks. I'm not saying it lost as a game, I'm not saying all that. It's just going to be much better to do the hog walk, come in here and get out there where they got to worry about noise for once, in a while, and we don't. And I think that'll be really, I think it will help us.
I don't know, maybe Tennessee was holding back a little bit, but Oklahoma is really the only team that's kind of slowed them down a little bit. Is there anything that you can take from the film or
Yeah.
what Oklahoma did good against their offense that you guys could do?
Yeah, there sure is. I thought it was a brilliant game plan. But as I say, once Tennessee got ahead there, they went primarily to running they were ahead. They felt like their defense was playing well. I think Oklahoma was struggling a little bit offensively, and part of that, a lot of that, was because Tennessee is really good on defense. But yes, there's certainly things that we looked at that Coach Venables and his staff did there that are intriguing.
Jackson? I know we've talked about him a bunch, but Andrew Armstrong has been such like a reliable target for Talon, and there was some time in the offseason I think we all wondered would he come back, and he did. I mean, how have you seen him develop, not only for this season for you guys, but for his future, aspiring NFL, career?
But he's certainly on the NFL list now, and guys come in, they want to talk about him. So if you want something bad enough, you got to go work to get it. And I think that's what he's done. He's also matured as a young man, and I'm not saying he was immature. I don't mean that, but he's also grown as a young man, and I think if you ask him, he'd say he practices harder, he works harder, and part of that's for the team. I'm sure part of that, which is not selfish, I'm sure part of that is for his future in the NFL. You can do both, and so I'm really proud of him for that.
You recruited him 2 years ago. Did you envision this type of development where he could become an NFL receiver?
I didn't know if he could make a Division II film look that same way in the SEC. And, there was a learning curve and all that, but he's always been very talented. So I envisioned him being a really good SEC receiver. One of the better ones. I don't know, but I envisioned him that he would be one of the, a really good SEC receiver, and now he's one of the better ones out there. So, really happy for him.
Coach, appreciate it.
All right, guys.